Hey, all right, shalom, shalom. Hey, first and foremost, I want to say Kohaloyim La Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash. A double honor to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you, Akim, pushing the work in truth and sincerity. All right, so I wanted to start off with this article. All right, how techno communism will institute the CBDC, the central bank game plan, in under 3 minutes. All right, and there's a video that goes along with this article that basically explains how the technology is going to, pretty much forward the whole agenda. Okay, and to those who oppose the RFID being the MOTB, the mark of the beast. All right, you're going to be confounded. All right, and you're going to be had in derision because a lot of you are straddling the fence. All right, you still want part of this society. And in this time that our temptation, you're gonna have to choose. You ain't gonna be able to straddle the fence. You're gonna have to choose between the Lord, to stay upon the Lord, or to lean upon the Lord, or you're gonna have to choose to lean upon Esau Edom and become a slave in his new world, new order of the ages. All right, we'll say it like that: Novus Ordo Seclorum. Okay. And this is yesterday I touched on how they pretty much laid the foundation through Reconstruction. All right. And basically they were reconstructing the world toward this new age. All right. And starting from the mid 1940s all the way up until now. There's nothing that hasn't been done by coincidence. All right. All of these things are, if I'm saying it right, all of these things are working towards, the finality of all things. Okay. Okay. And the Lord has given Esau the green light to do this thing. All right. So that he may, at a point, he's going to show his power. All right. To the world. All right. To his saints and to the world, to the heathen, his adversaries, everybody's going to see it, But the difference is his saints, his elect, we're going to be the ones that wax bold when the Lord shows that power, okay? So, all right, we're headed into that new order of the ages, which they've been setting the infrastructure up, all right, through Reconstruction, all right? And, I touched on that yesterday in the lesson. So Louisville in this lesson is edifying, hopefully, it won't be as long, but, I don't have precepts. I just wanted to go into this article, basically proving to you more and more that, the central banks are, they're gonna bring that digital currency. And this is part of that great reset that everybody's talking about, and this is something that the elders have been warning us time and time again. All right. And we're going to see whether or not people have been taking heed. All right. And we're going to see if people are going to be that they're going to stand in that day. All right. So it says how techno communism will institute the CBDC, the central bank game plan, in under 3 minutes. All right. The source is second smartest guy in the world. It says the entire global financial system is now essentially a techno-communist black ops money laundering crime scene. Central banks, all right, their Wall Street co-conspirators and the major corporations are all colluding in ushering in their hyper-centralized CBDC dystopia. All right. And what? Again, this is something that they always have planned. Annuit coeptis. All right. I just want to point this out because I just looked this up. All right. This is their motto. Okay. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means new order of the ages. All right. It says added to the Secretary of the Congress of the Confederation, Charles Thompson. On the reverse backside of the Great Seal of the United States, the first motto is Annuit Coeptis. All right, and I believe that goes into, let's see, he favors or has favored our undertakings. All right. I approve, I favor. All right. And so who's doing the approving? All right. Ultimately the Lord, but we know Esau works on the left hand side. So his power is Satan. Okay. All right. So let's see. It says this central bank currency, all right, will of course be inextricably tethered to the AI social credit score system, which will algorithmically surveil and control the genetically modified debt slave tax mules. All right. And that's what they refer to us as. But immediately, Revelation is the 13th chapter, the 16th verse. This is what, this is what it's entailing. All right. Everything that I'm reading, that's what it's entailing. In fact, let's get it. All right. Because though we read it a million times, you really don't know until you know. All right. So Revelation is 13, 16. And I'm gonna be honest, I stopped, for some time I stopped touching on, the conspiracy side of the game, to focus on other things. But this is the most important thing that you'll ever know. All right. And your understanding on this is going to definitely, get you through the times. All right. Because knowing is half the battle. Okay. So Revelations 13:15, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. Now we know the image is much like a mirror. And what is it mirroring? All right. The old ancient Roman customs, the old ancient Roman world. All right. Because this is the last leg of the Roman Empire. Okay. And we see through the AI, the algorithms, the social credit system that they're setting up. This is how they're going to be able to cast you out of society, whether or not you, let me see, adhere to their rules and regulations. Okay. All right. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That mark is charagma, which we know is an incision. All right. Which really goes into you being branded by the elites. Okay. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. Which he comes in the power of, which is it's going to say, it says, here's wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right. Okay. So let's continue. All right. So just below the first paragraph, all right, it says, well, let me start just a little bit in it. I'm going to read it again. It says in the middle of the first paragraph, it says, this central bank currency will, of course, be inextricably tethered to the AI social credit score system, which will algorithmically surveil and control the genetically modified debt slave tax mules. All right, because that's what they're turning you people into. Okay, if you choose this society, you're gonna be a debt slave, and if you don't want to be a debt slave, if you don't want to be a part of their structure, they're gonna cast you out by i.e. death or whatever, what have you, detainment centers, which that's gonna be very alive and prevalent. People being detained and thrown into concentration camps. Okay, all right, or what have you, or learning centers, or re-education centers, what have you. All right, it says the durable emergency and endemic, I'll just say that, it says scheme has emboldened the banksters such that they are now showing their hand, you see, and they're showing their hand because they know that they have a short time. Okay, it don't matter. They pretty much duped the masses of the world. All right. It says in some nations, the UBI, universal basic income. All right. And where, universal basic income, if you don't know what that is, just, look it up. But briefly, that is pretty much a welfare system of the new age. Okay. They give you that. And that's what's been happening in the last few years. They call them, a stimulus package. All right. So it says, in some nations, the UBI bribe will be a necessary step in achieving adoption. So it's gradualism. They're feeding you, the UBI, okay, until the point where it's going to come where the shortages is going to become, prevalent within the communities that you live in. All right. So things are going to become harder. There's going to be famine, and now you're going to need that UBI, all right, to fend for yourself, to live, all right, and to sustain yourself, because they're going to make it hard. They're going to make it difficult to live, and they're going to put you in a situation where you're going to have to depend on, the powers that be to, to be able to sustain yourself. It says, but there are currently enough WEF, all right, penetrated, okay, I think that it might be World Economic Forum penetrated governments that will outright subject their citizenry to draconian currency laws. And that's heavy because, that guy, Klaus, all right, Schwab, all right, I call him Klaus Schwabstica, okay, that dude, is the leader of that, okay, one of the brainchilds of that, they're setting the bar, man. All right, it says Pfizer, petri dish nation of Israel is leading the way. Not only is the small hat populace undergoing a slow motion holocaust by a slow kill bioweapon injection, currently at dose 6, but they are now being aggressively herded into a CBDC hell. Cash deals exceeding 6,000 NIS, 1,700 will be illegal as part of the effort to fight against money laundering and criminal activity. And the law will exempt charitable institutions and trade with West Bank Palestinians. So they're gonna stop that money share that I forget what they call it, but among these nations they share their wealth. All right. It says by invoking money laundering and criminal activity, these illegitimate anti-human governments are simply projecting their very own crimes while attempting to steal away the last vestiges of people's freedoms. All right. And this is becoming very true. All right. Even now, with food stamps, they're saying if you let somebody use your card, that they identify that as fraud. All right. They were trying to identify that as fraud in Wisconsin, because people sell their food stamps. All right. I, for one, never really leaned on the system like that. I never really had food stamps like that. I had it once in my life, and I kind of, I saved it all up to a point. I had, had a lot of food stamps, but I would, whatever. But I didn't sell them. It says we want, but they just to throw that out there because they're gonna make everything hard. All right. It says we want the public to reduce the use of cash money. It says Tamar Braca. It says who is in charge of executing the law on behalf of Israel's tax authority told the media line the goal is to reduce cash fluidity in the market, mainly because crime organizations tend to rely on cash. The biggest crime organizations is the IMF in the central banks, okay? Because they print money out of thin air, okay? All right? So really they're covering their tracks with this is a guise. This is nothing more than a ploy, all right? To bring in these different measures, all right? Because people is going to agree. So yeah, we could stop, crime and money laundering and stuff. And the government has been doing that for decades, okay? But really, it's only a ploy so that they can bring more strenuous laws on the citizen, all right? Okay, because this beast system, all right, is really is going to be it's going to be dreadful, man. All right, this beast system is going to get ugly. All right, this is by limiting the use of it. Criminal activity is much harder to carry out. All right, and they look at all of us as criminals, by the way. Okay, in other words, reduce freedom, fluidity, and remove all privacy. And it is no coincidence that the small hats has one of the most advanced hokey pokeys passport programs, which will seamlessly integrate with their CBDC scheme. Slocky. The goal is not to not only link Slocky. The goal is to not only link every human to their social credit score, but to tax, inflate, stealth tax, debank, and deperson at will, building on the death max. All right. Program. Everyone will be injected with nano microchips. All right, which will assimilate the post-human digital chattel to the AI. So they want to, heap unto themselves all people and have them part of this system. All right. It says the elites will then finally gain control of the very lifespans of their pod-dwelling, synthetic bug sludge eating subjects. And that's big too. There's articles out there, where, certain corporations, want people to eat bugs, and they're playing it off as if, it's the new green thing to do. All right. So it says the Bank for International Settlements was established to collect and disperse Germany's World War I reparation payments. But World War II, it was the primary war spoils money laundering operations for the Nazis. All right. The irony is always rich with these sociopaths. It says, and is today effectively the World Central Bank, or the Bank of Central Banks. BIS is the controlling, I don't even know if this video gonna go up. It says, is the controlling node for all of the other central planning entitles, all right, such as the Fed, ECB, BOJ. It controls most of the transferable money in the world, which it uses to drive sovereign governments into debt on behalf of the IMF. Ironically, the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, general manager happens to be a man whose lack of impulse control as it pertains to his eating addictions directly carries over to his insatiable compulsion for tyranny. This article is something. I mean, what a dude is.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
All right, so again, it's just nothing more than control, So they can't track who's, spending $100 here, 1,000 pesos there, and they want to know. And the first scripture that comes to mind is them exalting themselves as the Most High. They want to be in the place of the Most High. All right, so let me get that, because it's going to take some time to look for it. All right, so this is Isaiah 14:13. So for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. All right, and this, you saw this whole, technocratic, this whole new world age that they're bringing in. This is him ascending into heaven. This is him, coming up on a level with all this technology and stuff like that. All right, it says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also in the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High, you see. And that's ultimately their goal, is to play God. Okay. All right, but that comes with a duty. All right. Okay, so it says, to continue in the article, because it's almost over, it says, we do not know who is using a $100 bill today. Busybodies like Austin Carstens have less than zero authority to know anything about what anyone is using or doing, or anything about them, whether it be cash, medical records, communications, or anything else for that matter. All right, because this is a nefarious plan. This is not to make sure everybody's well-being is okay and everybody is thriving and doing right, and Esau is going to make sure everything's fair and he's going to spread the wealth and all of that. That's all bullcrap. All right. But they're going to use that as a ploy, to undermine people. Okay, this is a sheer agenda to oppress, destroy, all right, murder, deprive, you name it. All right, just terrible. All right, it says not that the NSA and the CIA have these rights, nor does the Constitution allows for internationalist, techno-communist bankers. Quite the contrary, but we digress. It says theft via taxation is nothing more than social engineering. And so too is the rush to a cashless, brave new world. CBDCs represent one of the last steps in the final social engineering solution. There you go. This is the final agenda. All right. I.e., that coincides with the last few prophecies. Okay. The second to last is the RFID being the MOTB, and literally we're seeing it, how it's going to play out in their agenda with it. So those things coincide, the MOTB, all right, and the CBDCs, all right, because they're gonna whip out the technology for it, and people are gonna be lining up for it because they're gonna end cash, all right. And cash is still ruling the world, and they're going to phase it out, So it says, Slack. It says, and just like the UN, WEF, all right, World Economic Forum and World Health Organization, the Bank of International Settlements operates outside of all sovereign government laws. It is the monetary arm of the one world government, leading with the requisite environmental, social and governance criteria as outlined in the UN's Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, because a cashless society perfectly paves the way for a propertyless society, you see, and that's what they intend. All right. It is also no coincidence that the CBDC is the high-tech apotheosis of the fifth plank of the Communist Manifesto. I read that a long time ago. Really couldn't understand it. You got to look up so many words, but if you're feeling froggy, leap. Go ahead and look into that Communist Manifesto. And in fact, I might be able to break it down better being that, you know, some time afterwards. So it's a centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. Today, this plank may be updated to read as follows: hypercentralization of a singular global CBDC in the hands of internationalist technocrats with exclusive monopoly. The other planks require similar revision for today's techno-communism. The World Economic Forum eviscerated nations like Israel, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand will be the CBDC trial balloon experiments. The obvious goal upon successful abolition of cash in each respective nation is to port the respective CBDC into a singular crypto CSDR CBDC for a true one world currency. Which brings us to Richard Warner's must-see presentation, which I'm gonna check that out. All right, and I might have to put this on a different site, but you know, if I do, I have to. If I have to, I have to. So, but you know, in conclusion, this is gonna come, you know, in its perfection when, you know, the society shuts down. Okay, it's gonna come in its perfection when all utter chaos, especially for America, all right, when that breaks loose, okay, it's gonna be the pristine time for them to, you know, jump on this, all right, and they're already doing it gradually, you know. So, hey, with that, Lord, this was edifying to you, Akim. You know, let me get maybe a few more. Let's see, because this is on my mind right now. All right, 2nd Ezra 9 and 20. All right, it says, so I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it. All right. Okay, and I saw and spirited greatly and kept. So basically, you know, there's a lot of peril goes into danger. All right, dangerous times because of the devices that were come into it, and this is one of the devices. All right, let's look at this word up, device, because it can mean technology, but it also can mean something else. All right, device, it says to plan. All right, contrive. All right, think or study out, elaborate in the mind. And the scripture says that the heart, the heart is deep in dealing with Esau. All right, I think that's Psalm 64. So they're contriving, they're forming, they're fashioning, they're planning. All right, they're conspiring, contrive, think or study out. All right, elaborate in the mind. All right, arrange. All right. So again, it says, so I considered the world, and behold, there was peril, dangers, because of the devices that were come into it. All right, and Esau's devices. All right, it says that his mind is deep. Okay, let's see. Psalm 64. And let's start at 1. It says, hear my voice, O power. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. All right, those devices. All right, this was their plan all along, and at one point it was a secret to the world, and still is, because that's why they, you know, cutting videos and doing all sorts of things to hide the truth. Okay, so hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection, because that's what this is. This is insurrection. All right, of the workers of iniquity. Let's go into this word, insurrection. All right, I'm not spelling it right. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I think it's a U. Yep. Insurrection. An uprising against civil authority. All right. In this case, the civil authority would lie with the civilians. All right, because we're trying to as they say, have life, liberty, and all those things. To sustain ourselves. And what Esau, the Edomites, they want to take it away. All right. Okay. So there's an insurrection. It says a rising up. Okay. So there's a rising up. All right. Against who? Really the elect. But the whole world is going to get this work. From Esau, who the Lord is allowing to do what he's doing. All right. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the uprising of the workers of iniquity, who wet their tongue. All right. I think wet goes into sharpening their tongue like a sword. And that's what you see when you hear stuff like decarbonization, net zero, there's other things that their agenda lay out. All right. Because it says, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, all right, which is the elect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. All right. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune laying snares privately. All right. They say, who shall see them? All right. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. This is the one I wanted. In conclusion to their whole agenda. All right. Okay. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All right. And the Lord has allowed this to happen. Even their own Edomite counterparts are spilling the beans, so to speak. All right. And all men shall fear and shall declare the works of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. That's right. It says the righteous shall be glad in the Lord Yahweh and shall trust in him, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And all the upright in heart shall glory. All right. And so that's in conclusion to this lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying. To you, Akim, and those that tuned in. All right. And until next time, I say shalom. All right. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash Bakatham. Shalom.